Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hugnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
I'd like to welcome everyone back to the ThunderCast, your number one source for anything regarding the herd. Today we've got a great show lined up. I'm filling in still here for KD. It's going to be me and Russ talking about a few things, obviously the 5 things as we do every week. And we'll also talk about Sunbelt Media Day here. I'm really excited about this episode. But before we start here, I'd like to remind you guys that you can find the ThunderCast on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod, and anywhere you would like to listen to your podcasts, that'd be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can get the podcasts, we've got it. I'd also like to remind you to find us at thundercast.online as well, where you can get plenty of different updates. The portal tracker's on there. Several different sports is being updated all the time. Anything you need, anything you need regarding the herd, the ThunderCast has got it for you. Before we get into it, I'd like to take a moment to hear from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Let's get into it. I guess we could go straight into it here with the 5 things, right? We'll set it off.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago I told you KD and I had 10 things, and you think last week, well, you can't possibly have 5 things. How are we going to come up with them? We had like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Well, Ignite Link's got some bonus numbers again, because here are 7 things every herd fan needs to know this week. Brought to you by Ignite Link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Number 1. SBC preseason coaches poll is out. All 14 coaches get together every year and rank the teams. And Marshall didn't do very well, according to the coaches. They were picked 5th in the East with 49 points overall. That's 1 point behind Georgia Southern, who was in 4th. And then the top 3 in the East is App, JMU, and Coastal. Thoughts?
I think this is going to be the theme for the entire preseason as we get closer, and everybody else will start talking about the Sun Belt too, as far as analysts and ESPN or whoever wants to talk about football. And I think it's great, because every year I played, we were picked to win the thing, and I never got to win one. So maybe this will generate that fuel to the fire for the herd, kind of like the linebackers we talked about, and everyone's going to be saying, "Oh, can these guys even do anything? They won't be very good." Or like it's a big question mark. People don't really know because every team is really a new look. So I think the doubt right there will be a nice fuel to the fire. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I haven't been in a football locker room in college, as a player, and I don't really feel like I'm able to speak on bulletin board material, but I know it's a thing playing sports over the years. Another team, another player says something. Heck, as a fan, I know that, so you can talk a lot more about that, but bulletin board material is on their shirts right now. They're wearing shirts that say 6-7. They went 6-7 last year. It's a daily reminder in that spring camp, and I'm sure it's going to carry through the fall. Hey, 6-7. We went 6-7. Yeah. Now, hey, picked 5th in the East, not in the overall. They were 10th overall, 5th in the East. So if that's not something that's going to ignite some people, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I think I don't know. In the locker room, take anything anybody outside of football says with a grain of salt. If a coach or a player from the other team says something, that's straight up bulletin board material. But Coach Huff would probably consider that rat poison at this point in time, as he likes to allude to sometimes. But you still hear it. It's not like and it'll like you acknowledge it, and then it's not something you want to continue to think about because like who is? I mean, that's the coaches too who made that poll. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That might. I think that's right there then. So it should be pretty bulletin board. He's like he might bring it up. He may not. He may just say they don't know anything right now. Nobody knows anything about you. But that's definitely something that when it's the coaches poll that matters. When it's not just like, for example, Phil Steele, a guy who's done it for a million years. But
Yeah.
like when he says something, it's just like he's a guy.
Yeah.
But when it's the coaches saying it or another in a press conference, that's straight up bulletin board material. So I think this could be considered that. And the 6 and 7 thing too. I was trying to think of what I had to say about that. I was passing the Joan the other day, and I saw that on the jumbotron just while they were doing a workout or something. It was plastered over the jumbotron, 6 and 7. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not being cute when I say this. You mentioned Phil Steele, and he's just a guy. Well, I'm just a guy, and I'm, you know, not a former player like you. So when I'm going over some of these things, I feel like, hey, I'm just guessing at this because I'm not at practice. You know,
I mean,
I'm not there. So these coaches are definitely, even though they know football, or they wouldn't be a coach at the Division I level, but they aren't at our practices. They don't know how well the air raid is going. They don't know how the QB battle is going to shape up. So, I mean, realistically, they are just guessing as well.
Right.
But there are a lot of unknowns, and we brought in a lot of new faces, and we lost a lot of people. And I think that it might be kind of fair for them to say, no, middle of the road in the East.
Yeah, I think it's definitely fair. And like you said, they're not there. That's why preseason stuff is all just guesses. It's just a guessing game. The first week of college game day too.
Yeah.
When you go in there and everybody's making taking hot takes, and so preseason stuff is what it is. But it's so fun to speculate because you never know. Like you never know who's going to be that guy who pops off, or what team starts out 4-0 last year like we did, and then falls off the cliff for whatever reason. So it's fun to speculate. Everybody's getting excited.
Yeah, and I've never liked that preseason AP poll or the preseason coaches poll, but I understand why they do it, and it's never going to go away because you want to have those rankings up there for those matchups early in the season, you know, and that's ratings, that's TV, that's draw, so it's never going to go away. But I'd put a grain of salt into them. We at the ThunderCast actually participate in one of these national polls that's amongst podcasts, you know, and I have to go make that here really soon. And I don't know anything about USC or Notre Dame or Ohio State or anything like that. So I'm going to have to feed into the exact same thing that I hate, you know?
Yeah, it's just straight speculation. Well, what we got coming next on the five things?
Well, number 2, this is also from that preseason list deal, but Logan Osborne named to the Sun Belt Conference preseason second team, and he is the lone representative for the Herd on any first or second team.
Well, I feel like it's well deserved for Logan, obviously, but kind of like what we were talking about before, a lot of question marks around the Herd's brand new offense, and a lot of new players coming in on defense. So can't really knock them for not having us on a preseason anything when they just don't know. I feel like preseason stuff is just like who's returning and who's played the most, and like that's who we think will be doing well this year. That's all they can go off of. I feel like
the last 2 years that we have reported on this, we have made an effort to go in and see what it looked like at the end of the year when they do the postseason awards and everything, and it is always wrong. Again, it's the same thing about with the coaches poll and everything. No one has that crystal ball. These are a little more like, you know, you can take somebody, if they've been a performer and this is their, like Logan, this is his 6th year here in the program, and, you know, he's on all these different awards lists and things over the years. That's a little bit easy to peg somebody in there. And, you know, the ones that we have that are transferring in that are unknown, like you said, I see why they're not on there. but I also feel like there's going to be some people that take this personal. Uh, maybe not necessarily the team rallies around and goes, oh, they're disrespecting us by only putting one player, but maybe some individual on there, and maybe you can talk about
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
somebody says, oh, I'm not going to be one of the top 6 receivers in this league. I'll show you. Oh, I'm not going to be one of the top linebackers in this league. I'm going to show you.
Yeah. I think like the 2 guys in our receiver room that are returning would probably feel like that the most. You got with DeMarcus Harris and Chuck, who played really well at times when they could get when we could get the ball to them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they have the opportunity. I feel like everybody's going to be touching the ball. I imagine 6 different guys in the end zone by week 3 or 4, something like that. And like they're going to look at that list and be like, these guys aren't better than me. Like I know who these guys are, and I know they're not better than me. And what they've probably been doing, like I said, I haven't really got to get my eyes on the offense in person either, but I imagine 5 or 6 different guys touching the ball in a game, like and 2 running backs taking carries, like if we need to. And I imagine the ball 50 in the air 50 times. So that means, like realistically, that has to happen if you're going to be effective. You're going to have 5, 6 guys who can consistently catch the ball. But yeah, I think that definitely happens across the board, though. Like individually, you'll look at that list and you won't take it too personal, but you'll be like, that guy's not bad.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to prove it.
Yeah. I'm fairly confident that we're going to have some guys with chips on their shoulders from these first 2 things that we said here in the preseason. And I think that is a very good thing. Let them overlook us. I feel like Notre Dame overlooked us. I feel like not just the team Notre Dame. I don't think that they said, oh, this is going to be an easy win or anything like that. But I think definitely the fan base, the media, everybody overlooked us. Mm-hmm. And we beat them in every aspect of that game for basically the entire game.
Yeah. It's a fun position to be in because it's like there's no risk involved when somebody's overlooking you like that. So you can kind of just let loose and just have fun with it. So that's what I feel like this whole season, this type of energy is going to be, is that chip on the shoulder. We got nothing to lose mentality because everybody has already just kind of written us off as, oh, this is what Marshall is now. So. And even though it's a first losing season in 6 seasons, and I mean I was there for 6 winning seasons, no big deal. But but no disrespect to my guys, like, and it was a losing season by 1 game. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to just drop us down that low. I'm kind of back on the first topic. That's kind of crazy.
Well, and I think it also speaks to how competitive this East Division in the Sun Belt Conference is too, But anyway, we could beat that up all day long. Let's go on to number 3, J.J. Roberts and Mike Green. Now, these are 2 people that were conspicuous in their absence on that preseason list, named to the East-West Shrine Bowl watch list.
Yeah, I think those are 2 guys who have the skill set that could translate to the next level very well. Obviously, I think I know we're going to get into this later, but Mike Green looked very solid in the suit up there on the podium there when I took a look at Marshall's Sunbelt Media Day footage.
Yeah.
And he's only going to get better from last year, which is exciting. And then JJ is a very, very fast player. He's got a nose for the football, and I'm not surprised that both of them are on that watch list at all because they're poised to have really good seasons.
Yeah, it's always great to be on those radars, on the watch list and everything. And I think that is more not clout, but it's something that I'd rather be, if I'm a player, I'd rather be on the East-West Shrine Bowl watch list than a preseason conference list, because like you said, in the preseason, it's all just let's see,
Right, and that East-West Shrine Bowl, those eyes matter being on you. It doesn't matter if the coach thinks you're going to be good or not, but if the NFL guy's like, all right, let's circle this name on this list, and we're going to keep eyes on him from the very beginning of the season, that is a pretty big deal. So
Yeah.
Excited to see those guys play and hopefully take advantage of those eyes being on them. So
Absolutely. Huge accolade for both guys. Congratulations. Number 4, 5 Marshall men's golfers were named 2023 and 24 Cobalt GCAA All-American Scholars. You got Tyler Jones, Cameron Jarvis, Joseph Kolaski, Clayton Thomas, and Andrew Weiss. Let me tell you a little bit about this, and this is from the herdzone.com article. Marshall was one of only 25 Division I golf programs to feature at least 5 on this roster. To be eligible, there's a lot of different things. You must be a sophomore, junior, or senior, both academically and athletically, in NCAA Division I, must participate in 50% of their team's competitive rounds, have a stroke average under 76.0 in Division I, and maintain a minimum cumulative career grade point average of 3.2. A recipient must also be of high moral character and be in good standing at their college or university.
Wow. That's, two of those things are just things that I might not ever get to accomplish. I think I can be a high moral guy, but I don't think my GPA, my stroke, that's so like the average strokes there, that's insane. So those guys are absolutely gifted at what they do and proving it in all facets that they're just high class individuals. So
I thought you were going to say that you could never be that high moral character. And
I think I could do that. That's about it on there. That's very impressive. And
it is
all of them to be competing too.
Yeah,
over 50%. So they're not just adding guys onto the roster who are good at school or something.
Yeah,
like that, and also pretty good at golf. But that's
maintaining a 3.2 as an athlete. You and I talked about this last week when we had the various different academic things, and there goes the Marshall banner. Going to have to get some new stickies up there. The 76 is tough.
That's
and I know there's probably people listening go, I can get 75 all day long. Yeah. Okay, but they have to do that and a 3.2 and all this other stuff. It's just highly impressive. And KD likes to say it all the time. It's a differentiator. Marshall always, over the past, 2+ years that we've been doing this, has always had people, individuals and collective teams, scoring high in these academic things. This is just totally impressive to me.
Yeah, just the balance of all that, because if I were to have an average of under 76, I would have to be a crazy bad person or bad at school. So
bad at school.
To do all those things.
Yeah, if you want to work on your game and get it under a 76 average, probably you're going to have to sacrifice some of your other stuff, in your life. So, it's great to have 5 of those on there. Number 5, we're going to keep it with men's golf, and I thought this was pretty cool. Incoming grad transfer J.F. Aber qualifies for the 2024 U.S. Amateur. He comes over to the Herd. This will be the 1 year that he will play for us. And in qualifying, he will be with 2 former Herd players that are also in the field, Christian Brand and Davey Jude.
Wow. I know that's the men's golf is really proven to be like a powerhouse. It seems like growing into something. I haven't been too familiar with it during my time when I was playing, but now that I play golf, I'm definitely going to be more interested in paying attention to how Marshall men's golf is doing. So
they are coming up. We have it seems like the top 2 or 3 are always placing very high in some of these tournaments that they're in. We have winning the West Virginia Amateur, qualifying for the U.S. Amateur. We have a lot up at the top, and it seems like, over the past couple of years, it's gotten better that everybody, is lifting up and everything. So it's improving. Number 6, it's season ticket time for some fall sports. They've been out for a while, but a couple of great deals are out there that were just announced. Women's soccer, if you don't have season tickets yet, they have plans starting at $25 for the season. That's a family pack of 4. So if you and 3 of your friends or you and 3 members of your family all get season tickets, it's $25 each for every single home game for women's soccer.
That's a great deal right there. I still haven't made it over there for a game at all. I'm
Well,
just
you're going to go. You're going to go
I,
with me.
yeah, whether it's men's or women. So I plan to be over there a lot this fall and really be tuned into to everything martial athletics and kind of broaden my martial athletics spectrum here. And I'd love to go see some in person. That sounds like a deal I could hop on. I could bring a couple of friends to that.
Yeah, it is it's a great venue, and you know how you can feed off the fans' energy. The energy there is crazy
Mm-hmm.
for both men's and women's. If you don't get the family pack, it's still not out of you know, huge money out of pocket. General admission for the season, because they don't have reserved seating for women's soccer. So any ticket you get is $40 for every single game on the season. So 25 for the family pack, 40 if you're just getting a single ticket by yourself.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, football has come out with many plans where any 3 games can be purchased for as little as $75. Now, those are the end zone seats. If you want to get sideline, you want to get chair backs, you want to get anywhere in the stadium, you can get this 3-pack. So people that don't want to come to all 6 because they're traveling, 8-10 hours away, there's an opportunity that they can get 3 and pick whatever 3 that they want to come to.
Yeah, I love that. I think it makes it a little more feasible too for somebody financially, even if
Yeah,
it's like I can't make it, I can't pay for full season tickets. That's a great option.
yeah,
But the end zone seats aren't really too bad for me. I
yeah,
like looking at the end zone seats because that's how we watch film.
yeah.
It gets I mean, when they get on the other side of the field, it's a little far, but once they're right up on you and you get to be in the end zone and somebody scores a touchdown, I feel like that's a magical place to be sometimes. So
I'm at midfield now, but my first man, I don't know how many years was in the end zone. My season seats were in the lower part of the end zone, and then I moved up into 228, just the general admission, just to set up there to get. I like to be up higher and get a more bird's eye view. But there is not a bad section, I feel like, in the Joan. If you
oh yeah.
walk around like when it's empty, or if you walk around during a game and just see, there is not a bad seat in the house. It's a very intimate.
From the beginning of time. Well,
Yeah,
kind of it felt like it was like kind of a bet that we were going to be good for a long time and be able to fill that place for a long time. Because in the very beginning, I think when they built it, that was right when they were transitioning into F to the D1 AA at the time, and then shortly after that transitioned right into the FBS level. So
yeah,
I love that place. It's the place that kind of made me into a man, if you will. But
yeah.
I guess I'm biased, but I don't think there's a bad seat in the house either.
There's not. And the other thing to remember off this, we're saying $75 for that end zone for 3 games. Let's say it's not a situation where someone is traveling and or has a work scheduled where they can only come to 3 games. Let's say that you mentioned it, the financial thing, $75. For an additional $24, if you find, again, 3 of your friends, a family pack, which is on the sideline, is $99
Wow.
for all 6 games. So we try to get our fan base to understand, like, oh, I can't afford to go to the games. They're like, $30 a game or something like that, and it's $180. We have told people to get this family pack, and they 2 couples going together, or 4 friends going together, or your family of 4, $99 per seat for the entire season. So only $24 higher than the um, 3-game mini plan, but that mini plan needs to be available like this for those people that say, hey, I can't be at every game.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think we'll set the tone early this year. I think after we handle that first game and then we go on our road trip, since the fans will be wanting to be back in the Joan after they see what the offense has got to offer. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it's going to be a heck of a road trip. You got a bye week in between those two big games, but what a way to start your season. You got what is historically a tune-up game. Get all the kinks out and stuff like that, see what works, but also not give too much away.
Right.
And then you go on the road at Virginia Tech. You have a bye week, and then you're at Ohio State. So
yeah, might not after last year's game. Even though Albany ended up being a great team,
yeah.
After last year, you might want to just cut it loose and just set it off.
And honestly, that might be what a new offense needs is actual. Let's let the Lamborghini out of the driveway instead of taking the beater car, and just trying to get by. I think the fans need it. I think the team needs it with a new offense. So yeah, I think open it up. All right. So number 7 to finish this out here, Marshall Week of Welcome is coming up, and over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be talking more and more about this in 5 things. But a couple of things I wanted to highlight. It starts Tuesday, August the 13th. And it runs through Saturday, August the 17th. But pretty big is Thursday, August the 15th at 9 p.m. is Night at the Joan. They are going to screen the movie We Are Marshall. And it's not just for the incoming freshmen or the people coming to Marshall for the first time as students. Anyone in the community can go watch We Are Marshall Thursday, August 15th inside the Joan. I think that is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's been a tradition for a little while now. I mean, I know they did it when I was a part of Wow Week, a week of welcome. Yeah, that's I did not watch the movie until after I committed to Marshall. And then I went to that when I was a freshman in Wow Week. I love Wow Week because when I was a freshman and I needed it most, I got to miss a half of a workout or something because we had to do something Wow Week related, and all the older guys were calling us soft.
Yeah,
but I think I needed that at that time. It was a lot.
So did they do it inside the Joan? The movie?
Yeah, I think so. They did screen it at the Joan. I mean, and we're talking about 6 years ago now because I'm washed. But yeah, I think I don't know if they've consistently done it, but at least when I was in Wow Week, they did the same thing, and it was a great turnout. People brought out the blankets, and the popcorn was out. I think they might have been selling the popcorn there. It was a fun time.
Yeah, so they're going to allow people on the field and in the stands to watch this, and they're not going to allow the popcorn on the field, but the popcorn is going to be allowed in the stands, and then they're going to have drinks and popcorn and things there. It's going to be a great time. I think it's one of those. I don't know. I watched the movie, but I don't watch it 6-7 times a year. It's still a little sad for me to watch it. So the one thing though that they need to understand, these students that are coming in are roughly born around the time that the movie was made. 2006 is when it came out, and we're 18 years removed from that. There's going to be a lot of people that are like, wow, that's a really, really old movie. And it still seems kind of fresh to me, that it's right here. But getting a feel for what it means to be here at Marshall, not just athletically, but as a student and everything, it affected everybody. It affected this community. I think it's going to be a good turnout and a great thing to go to.
Yeah. And then, I really just learned very quickly when I watched it before I got here that Marshall was the heart and soul of Huntington.
Yeah.
And it is Huntington, really.
Yeah.
It's it's really like the heartbeat or the soul. I don't know how else to describe it, but it helps you understand that and what it did to the community, and then also what the young Thundering Herd did coming back for the community, and that story and that sort of mentality still lies within Huntington and Marshall today. So.
All right, well, that does it for this week's 7 Things Every Herd Fan Needs to Know. And as always, brought to you by Ignite Link.
Yeah, I think we can go straight into discussing our next topic, which was the Sunbelt Media Days, and discussing what Coach Huff and Mike Green and Logan Osborne had to say. They got asked some pretty good questions, I think.
Yeah. And before I watched that media session, I watched Keith Gill, the commissioner. I like to watch that every year, and he had a 30-ish minute session there, and he took some questions at the end. Not huge earth-shattering news. Like last year, they had talked about increased coverage on ESPN and things like that, and the media deal. So there wasn't anything crazy like that, but a couple of points that I just wanted to throw out there. He highlighted all the success not only of Sunbelt football with having 12 bowl teams last year, and the bowl winning percentage in the CFP era is second only to the SEC. I think it was 571 to 584. The SEC has a winning percentage of 584, and we got 571. So he was going over that, but all sports, he was talking about the different bids that we got for softball, the different bids that we got for baseball and all that. And the theme is Sunbelt Rising. One of the questions that was asked of him was about football divisions. We are the only conference in the country right now that is still doing the divisions. Maybe the MAC is, but we are one of only 2, but maybe one of only 1. And he was asked, hey, are you going to keep doing that? And he said, never say never. Right now, this is what we want to do. It was based on the regional rivalries and playing those teams and everything. It works great for our brand. But he said that he would evaluate it, and leadership would evaluate it based on the 12 teams that get to go to the CFP. If it starts to look like doing away with the divisions would put us in a better opportunity to get that spot, then that's something that they will 100% consider. So I like to hear that. I think Commissioner Gill is a tremendous leader, did a lot of great things to create this current Sunbelt landscape. And man, I'm with him. We are the premier non-autonomy conference right now in football.
Yeah, I think when you have a leader that's willing to even just say that he's willing to adapt like that, that's very promising in general, and just shows you that he's willing to change with the times a little bit in order to have success as a conference. So that's a big deal, and I'm interested to see how this plays out. If it's just going to be SEC playoff with 8 SEC teams and 4 Big Ten teams, or they're going to spice it up. I think they will spice it up, but I'm just interested to see how it plays out. I can't get enough of it on the game right now to throw that in there, but I've seen some very interesting people who just sim their dynasties, and Charlotte's ended up with the 12 seed, and App State made it to the Final Four and stuff like that. And I just hope it plays out like that, and everybody gets a fair shot at this thing.
I think that's what makes March Madness in basketball so awesome is, those Cinderella teams or those underdogs and everything, taking out the ones that are expected to win because their budgets are so much higher, and, they get to recruit these McDonald's All-Americans because they're the blue bloods and everything. But I always love March Madness because of the underdogs and the anyone can win any game kind of mentality. So I'm hoping that translates over here to this expanded CFP, and I'm with you. I'm excited to see this first year on how it plays out.
Yeah, like whichever G5 team gets in, I think any fan of a group of 5 team is going to be rooting for them.
Yeah.
Whether Marshall makes it or Liberty makes it or whoever could be that team that gets the 12 or 11 seed, or if 2 teams make it, I think that'll be America's team at that point.
I won't root for Liberty, but I'll root for just about anybody else, but not Liberty.
Just throwing them out there because I think they are a good team. I don't have any affiliation or anything with them, but I think, I just can't wait for a G5 team to come in and win that first game in the first year or something like that, like win the first round at least. And that's usually how it plays out, and ultimately that means just the better team is going to win at the end too. If there's that much, if there's extra rounds like that built in, you instead of just the 4-game playoff was a nice way to usher it in. But still, at the end of the day, it ended up being 50% SEC the whole time. So it's exciting stuff.
All right, so Coach Huff and Logan Osborne and Mike Green were up at the podium on the main stage, and there were various questions here. I've got them all listed on what was asked, so I'm just going to kind of read these off and then give their answer that they gave, and we can discuss it. And anytime, just interrupt me. Coach Huff was asked about kind of a weird question, but recruiting at the various levels, JUCO and high school and stuff like that. And I think kind of it either cut out or the guy left it out. I think he was talking about with today's current transfer portal and NIL thing, how it may change for Marshall. Coach Huff said he's going to continue to recruit a certain number of JUCO, a certain number of high school players, and obviously keep looking at a certain number of transfers when you can. And he said that he looks at NIL as retention instead of recruiting. So they're not going to be – Marshall's not going to be the school that says, hey, here's a private jet and $1 million. They're looking at how they can help the athletes stay here to say, let us help you with some of your expenses and things like that through NIL dealings.
Yeah, this is the new landscape, and this is the new challenge. Now we're going to be talking about stuff like this in the Sun Belt or any other G5 level, is how well can your coach recruit and how well can he retain?
Yeah,
because it's hard because you're going to get a guy in, and if you're a really good coach, you're going to develop him and make him play the best. He's going to be the best player ever, right? If you're a great recruiter and a great coach, they'll do that. But then how do you convince him to stay is this new challenge in a world where Arkansas, for example, probably offered X amount of dollars somehow. I don't know how that even works, or if they're allowed to contact players that are on other teams, or how any of that works. But because I only got a small taste of NIL, but it's the new challenge. And when you're at Marshall, like I think he mentioned, is like we have that brand that is the tradition and the community, and if you just show them all of the tools you have that aren't NIL related, and how useful it really is to be a part of Marshall and the community that it offers and the network that it offers, I think that's how every coach going forward at Marshall will have to utilize it until Marshall becomes an SEC school and has $1 billion.
And I agree. Coach Huff even mentioned exactly that. As you know, he talked about the tradition at Marshall and the brand that we have. And, he said the good thing about tradition, it obviously means that it's been done before. So, you just get to continue on with that. But yeah, I like that outlook of using it as retention. There's a lot of people that have and I'm talking about fans, have a bad taste about the current college sports landscape. And a lot of it has to do with NIL and the transfer portal. But if you look at it as, hey, these student athletes are just trying to get a little bit of help on their rent, get a little bit of help with a cell phone bill, get a little bit of help so they can eat better instead of having to, eat trash because they need to be, at their peak performance level. I think that's an awesome way to look at it. is, I would like to see every athlete, not just football, but I'm talking about our swimmers, our tennis players, everything, not have to worry about, well, I would live here and I would be able to eat this, but I just can't.
Yeah.
And I'm all for NIL when it comes to that.
Yeah, and then I think you also mentioned the new structure that nothing is really finalized across college sports yet, or the revenue sharing thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know more about that, but I'm excited to hear about that because ultimately that'll help what you just said and help everybody get some help from being an athlete. So
I intentionally left that out of the things because it was so new that I didn't want to put that in there and have a discussion, and then they say, well, things are still changing. So
right.
in the coming weeks, when everything has been put out and solid and everything, I'm going to talk about it here on the show. But yeah, you're right, revenue sharing, and they also increased scholarships in every single sport. So every roster limit will be able to have that same roster limit will have the same number of scholarships that you can have, and that is going to change everything because the schools that can afford that are just going to do it. I think soccer went from 9.5 to 24. So I mean, that's a lot of new scholarships. Football went from 85 to 105.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know these things.
Yeah.
That's it. That's wild. Like it's just brand new. Like the walk on is about to be completely eliminated if it wasn't already because of NIL. It might have been eliminated at the SEC level already.
Yeah.
Last year because if you could just get NIL deal and pay for your entire school, but that's just I don't know. I think I did see something McAfee mentioned like that's a part of the lore of collegiate sports is the walk on guy who does that. It's just different. I don't know if I hate it or love it yet. It's just so impressive. I didn't know that.
Some of those big schools were getting away or around the scholarship limit by saying, "Hey, we'll make you a walk on, but we'll give you an NIL deal that will basically pay the same amount as if you were on scholarship." So now they'll just be able to do that. Well, what are they going to do? I feel like they're going to try to poach from the non-autonomous G5 level and say, well, we'll just take, and not even that, but other P5 schools, that just don't have the same amount of revenue that they're going to have at these big, Ohio State, who has a limitless budget, I don't know, but we're definitely going to cover that in the coming weeks. I just didn't want to throw that on here with everything else that we had because that's a massive undertaking to talk about everything on how the landscape is going to change with that. Next thing he was asked, Coach Huff, that is, said, how have you seen the Sun Belt Conference grow? Oh, no, wait, that was Logan Osborne got asked that. Coach Huff was asked about ability versus talent. He has said this is the best team he's had, and how do you translate that into results on the field? He said that the talent gap is closer than it ever has been between the ones and the twos, and makes for a team with much more depth. And execution on Saturday comes from repetition in practice, but also understanding you're playing for each other, not with each other. He mentioned accountability amongst the players, the coaches. Feels this team has the most people willing to invest the time and channel that ability to get those results on the field.
Yeah. That's a very exciting answer for me. And I feel like I'm the type of player who would have bought in to any coach who had a message like that. Or I think I could play at any school for any coach, period. But that's beside the point because I'm done. But I think it's great that I think he feels very comfortable now that all of these guys are basically his guys.
Yeah.
For lack of better terms, there's no more Doc guys left except for Logan and Jacorian, maybe. I don't know if there's any other ones, but that's how you want it as a coach. And sometimes a lot of coaches don't even get that chance to have a full roster of guys that you hand selected or other coaches like Coach Seymour bringing in a couple of guys that he liked at other places, or when you have all your guys that you know that you recruited from the beginning of time, and you know that they're bought into your deal, I'm sure he's excited as a coach at the current state of the locker room, which he said straight up that he was.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal because that's why that transition first year is very hard for a lot of coaches. And Coach Huff saw pretty decent success. I think we went 7-6 in 2021. But because no matter what stuff, when change comes, it's hard. So a lot of players who played for Doc for 5 years back at that time, it's like, oh, what he's saying this, but Doc used to say this or this and that. Like that conversation happens, whether people like to talk about it or not.
Yeah,
they'll just say, oh, everything's good, everybody's fine. That's to kind of open the door to the locker room a little bit. That's stuff that happens everywhere. And now that conversation is not, people don't even know. Some of these young guys who got recruited might not even know who Doc Holliday is. Yeah. Like it's that far removed now, 3 or 4 years removed.
That's a good point.
So I think it's exciting.
He was also asked, this is the big question that everybody is wanting to know about the QB battle. He said quarterback battle going into August camp was the way the question was worded, if Coach Huff could talk about that. He said that when Coach Daggy was hired in January, they decided then that they were going to let the QB battle go through the fall camp. And what the reasoning for that is, none of the QBs had experience running this new offense, so they wanted to teach the offense, let them learn that January leading up to spring practice. In spring practice is where they got to apply it, what they had learned and known. And then the summer was making corrections on that. And now in fall camp, when it opens up here in just a few short days, it's going to be a true duel. And I say duel, that was Coach's words, but he mentioned 3 quarterbacks, but he added on Colin Parachek when he answered this. In other interviews that he did down there, he only mentioned 2, and it was Cole Pennington and Braylon Braxton. So those 2 are going to duke it out, see who is best to lead this team, lead this offense. And he said that they'll probably know by mid-August who it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's a super fair way to do it. And the way he mentioned them both coming in a new system, that's I think it was the best way it could have been handled. And that creates that competitive nature, like the previous question kind of alluded to, is that skill gap is so close that every single player on the field is going to be battling like that. It's going to be that intense across the board. We talked about the linebacker room being the question mark. Same thing's happening over there. But the quarterback thing, I don't know. I think it's truly a toss-up. I don't know, because you got a guy who had some success a couple years ago. I think it was 2022 when he played his best. He got like a 4 or 5 game stretch. I don't know if he was battling injuries or they were just doing – it was a quarterback battle over at Tulsa. But when I took a peek at his stats, he had some playing time. And Cole was here. He's legacy guy from here, around here, and got all the physical tools. He looks great out there handling the ball. So I just can't wait to get my eyes on it if I can. If there's an open practice or 2, if I can get some secret access.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks away probably knowing who our starter is going to be. We're just a little over a month away from the first game, and another 2.5, 3 weeks we're going to know who our quarterback is. I am really excited about that. But yeah, I agree with you. Very fair way to do it, and that way it's not just, well, this is our quarterback going into it. They're going to go with whoever actually wins this and does the best job for the team. Logan had some questions, and the first one was what kind of challenge it is bringing in all these new faces. And you were here for the entire time. You didn't come from another school, but you were one of the players that were here. Maybe you can weigh in on what Logan says. Getting these new players that come in familiar with your culture and getting them to buy in. Teach them who Marshall is, what we're all about, and why we do the things we do.
Yeah. He worded it pretty perfect. Um, Similar to a brand new coach coming in and telling him what his standards are versus the last guy, whether right or wrong. It's you got a guy who comes in from a FCS school or a guy who transfers down from a Power Five school, and you tell them this is how we do things around here, and they might bring up, and like that's where if you're a good leader too, like oh we did it this way here and this worked. It's like okay then we might have to start doing that, or oh we
Yeah,
never did that there. It's like well this is what we do here, so you better
yeah,
tighten up or
yeah,
you're gonna get left behind.
yeah.
So I think yeah he worded it perfect. You just kind of bring them up to speed and then like you let them know about the history and the culture too up front.
Yeah.
Have them go to some of those things like that, especially if you're a WoW Week freshman. Like you'll learn a lot about Marshall's culture right then. But if they're a transfer, like take them to the fountain, take them to the plane crash site, let them know what why it means more here and what this community is really about. But yeah, I think Logan's answer was perfect right there.
He was also asked, how have you seen the Sun Belt Conference grow with fan support? And he said when he started, they were in Conference USA, and moving to the Sun Belt Conference, it feels like you're in one of those P5, P4 conferences. He
Yeah.
said the road game atmosphere and the fans. He specifically mentioned an example going down to Georgia Southern, that stadium felt like a little SEC stadium. The way everyone was passionate and in the fans and in the stands. He thinks the Sun Belt Conference will continue to grow its brand, especially with the conference or the college football playoffs going to 12 teams. Coach Huff wanted to add on to that. He said that it is a testament to Commissioner Gill and the leadership with being very intentional on the teams that they brought in with regional rivalries in mind, and that means traveling fans. He mentioned when we go down to App, we take a lot of fans. Marshall always travels well,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of someone coming from UTEP, for example, that's a long flight, not even a road trip. That's a long flight.
Yeah.
And UTEP would never have a lot of fans up here, but App State is going to bring a lot of fans. So
Yeah.
I am, we talked about this earlier, but I am all on board with Sunbelt and its brand. And that is what everyone loves about it. We still have the regional rivalries. We still have the divisions. It's what people love about college football.
Yeah, and it's awesome as a player when you get on a plane and you fly down to JMU and it takes 45 minutes, and or you could just take a bus to App State.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that is amazing for fans and players both. It just makes sense. Like when the conferences are regional like that, there's nothing better for the fans and the players because that environment's better for the players. It's more intense because there's a lot more people there, and then the fans get to be a part of something larger too. So I love that about the Sun Belt as well. Coach Huff said it too. It's not something that's it's kind of like a nostalgic feel almost with some of the relationships with schools like App State or Georgia Southern. Both, I think there's a history with both of those schools, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know what the previous conference was called that Georgia Southern and Marshall were in, but
It was the Southern Conference.
Southern Conference, yeah. And yeah, like it's like a revamped Southern Conference and more. Like it's a beautiful thing, and like when you look at it on a map, and it just makes sense. I think every conference started out like that, and
It did.
TV and money
Yep.
changed everything. And like Coach Huff said in his thing, sometimes it makes sense to do that when it is a giant brand.
Yeah.
And you have the funds to fly 5 hours.
Yeah.
To when you're USC going to Rutgers this year, I can't get over that. But
and they have some of those national brand teams that have been up there for so long. They have fans in every state. So, like when USC would go to Ohio State, you didn't have to have everybody from Los Angeles fly up to Columbus. You had a lot of people in the drivable area that were USC fans. Marshall and other teams in the lower levels, they just haven't been put up on that media pedestal to grow that fan base like that. So we have to have our own passionate fans that are willing to travel And I think that's what is great about this Sun Belt Conference, man. Is just I go to as many road games as I can. Sometimes with my schedule, I can't go, but I think I went to 3 road games each of the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and going down there and just how the fans embrace you in this league, how they are passionate about their team. You didn't have that in Conference USA.
Yeah, that was as a player, I felt the difference for sure. Like Logan said, it definitely got more intense. I'd say Troy was my small SEC feeling playing there. I don't know what people kind of get dressed up a little bit more in the South to go to football games. I feel like every single person had on at least a polo, dry fit polo. But yeah, like that environment was super intense, and we felt it. I mean, Georgia Southern too. I just love traveling to any of the Sun Belt teams. It was only one season I got to play in it, but App State was beautiful, hostile to say the least.
Yeah.
But that all of that is all of every location too, as far as stadiums and facilities go. I think they're all top notch. So
He was also asked what fans can expect with the new offense, and he said fans will be excited. He said that twice. We're going to sling it out there, was a direct quote. And he also said it's no secret that we struggled the last 2 years on offense, and we're finally doing something about it. And he closed. He said fans are going to be excited.
mm-hmm.
As a fan, and you're now a fan, former player, but now a fan and going to the games, that is one of the things that I think everybody is looking forward to is a high-powered, high-scoring offense. Is it going to be fun? I can remember, I don't know, the old Big Ten kind of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It was just boring football, man. Like 10-3, and in the lower leagues that you're in, if you want to go make a splash nationally and you want to make a splash in the playoffs, you're going to have a high scoring offense to be able to go up against today's offenses. Alabama's going to put up 40 something. Ohio State's going to put up 40 something. You have to be able to match that. And I think that this is a great thing to hear is we're going to sling it out there and fans will be excited.
Yeah, and when it comes down the road, if you're having a super success and you're starting to be talked about for the candidate for the 12th or 11th spot, whether they openly say it or not, they're going to consider the team that has more explosive plays and is going to create a better show than like I don't know. Like I feel like that's a major factor when it comes down to it. It's like, all right, two teams, same ability, like they have a very similar strength of schedule, this and it's like, well, who was more fun to watch? I guess that might be a factor that it comes down to when they're discussing stuff like that. So I can't wait to see it myself. Hopefully, I get to sneak in some practices during camp, and I'll be able to report back early. But that's something every time they mention it seems like they're going to let it loose, and I'm excited to see it from my own eyes with my own two eyes.
I'm excited too. Mike Green was only asked a couple of questions. Luke Creasy, local reporter extraordinaire, said, how much more comfortable are you now? And then he also asked a question about how much he's looking forward to playing against his brother, who is at ODU. And Mike said he's definitely more comfortable. It took him a while to get comfortable, and I think you saw that as the season went. He came on strong in the second half of the season last year, and definitely the late part. He feels that the defense is designed to allow players to play as fast and comfortable as possible, and Marshall has definitely done that for him. And then he said, just real quick, that both he and his brother are definitely looking forward to that matchup, and they have been for a long time.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing whenever you have family members to go D1, not to say that and have my brother's jersey in the background and my other brother's jerseys next to it that you can't see, but I never got to play against them, which is the next level of amazing layer to that. So that's an amazing accomplishment for both of them to be able to line up against each other. But yeah, that I would definitely have that circle too on mine if I ever had the chance. And what was the first question that he was asking?
About if he's more comfortable now
Oh
and
yeah,
how he got comfortable.
yeah. I think it just takes time, and that's a credit to him as a guy who wants to take the time and figure things out and stay in one place too. Because I'm sure anybody could go look in the portal and try to level up, whether it's a lateral movement that you're going to see more playing time, or somebody's going to offer you more money, but you'll just be a backup or something like that. You can do these things now, and he's willing to stay here and step into this leadership role and grind it out. That's a testament to his character, I feel like, and everything that's been said about him and what Coach Huff has said and other players have said about him is it's been all good things, and he seemed like a very humble and reserved guy when he was speaking too. So I'm once again all excitement over here, and it's so close. I could almost taste college football right now.
Yeah, it is definitely here. It is definitely here. We're going to be seeing it, like I said, in a month. We're going to be watching our first game. I'm trying to go through here on his game log. I just want to look. Yeah, as it went along, he was steady pretty all year. But as it went along, the last 3 games of the season, he got 2.5 of his 4.5 sacks.
Right.
So he just came on late, but I feel like now he's going to be one of the guys there and starting and getting more reps. That everything with his comfort level, but also the more plays that he's in, I think that his stats are going to leap up this year. And he's one that we have been talking about in our position group breakdown series about being that breakout guy.
Yeah. And then I think the other question they asked him too is who he thinks is the biggest rival.
Yeah, that was the very last question, and he and Logan both said that, as you know, each week is their biggest rival. Like everybody in the Sun Belt, each week that they play them, especially in the East, is their biggest rival, and it just goes back to what we were talking about with the fan base and everything. Yeah. It's kind of made it that way, that you don't just have one rival and that's it that you look forward to all year. That Marshall kind of takes that stance that everybody's their rival.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think, and it's because the Sun Belt is set up so perfectly that there is a history between pretty much every team we play.
Yeah.
And especially on our side. But if I know they were going to give that answer no matter what. If I had to pick one now that I'm no longer a player and it can't be as bulletin board as I think it's App State for me every single year. And because we have the most history with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been kind of bitter a little bit, just enough to make it fun.
And until last year, when the rivalry was renewed, it was always kind of a close game, in each other's house, 1 point, 2 point victories and stuff like that.
Starting with that COVID year, the first time we played them in a while, and that was just to grind it out. I think it was like 14-6, and I don't even know if he scored a passing touchdown that day, but it was just amazing to be. And they were top 25 too.
Yeah.
So it was mid-COVID, and that was a nice shining light in the middle of a hard time. And then we went to their place, and we had some explosive plays with Sheen's fake reverse touchdown. But we ended up losing, and then we brought it back to our place and debuted the black helmets, I think, against them the year after that. So, or no, that wasn't the debut. We debuted the black 75 helmets. We debuted the black helmets against ULL. Oh man, yeah, that's my favorite game. I get juice for the App State game. I think I played them. Yeah, I played them 3 times in my career, but more than anything else, I wish we still got to play WKU too. But that was always a good, fun, competitive game as well.
Well, that wrapped up the presser that they did. A lot of info in there. These things, they're not going to come in and drop bombs. You can't expect Coach Huff to come in and say, here's our starting quarterback. Here's the first 12 plays that we're going to run. There's not going to be anything groundbreaking that is just like, whoa, when you hear it. But it's always good to hear these little things. It helps fans get to know a little bit more about what's going on. And I feel like there was a lot of info in there about that and the process about, learning the system, applying the system. It just makes sense. But that's the first time we'd really heard that. So I always look forward to the media days and the pressers that they do.
Yeah, I think it's like a kickoff to like the milestones to the preseason here. It's like this, and then camp will start here in a couple days, and then after a few weeks of camp, you're starting game week. And then before we know it, we're outside at the tailgate doing a live show. So
it is coming soon, my friend. I only have a couple of things for Around the Herd, so I'm just going to read them off. There's no results, no games are going on right now, but that changes here in a couple of weeks when soccer kicks off, and then football right after that. Women's basketball has Elite Camp on August 24th and Little Herd Camp on August 25th. It's $100 for Elite, and Little Herd is $75, and that's for grades 3 through 8. And the only other bit of news that we have, women's soccer, they signed another international player, this time from Canada, Abigail Garrettson. Coach Rafa Samos has really, really hit that international signing, and it's kind of echoing what they did with men's soccer. Yeah. So total transformation of the roster.
Yeah, I love our worldwide roster.
Yeah,
I got to meet several of those players when I was up there, and pretty much legends at this point.
Yeah,
got to bump shoulders with Jamil Roberts and the Buck Harless, and I'm thinking of another one. He has an Instagram name that I always call him, but Milo Yosa.
Oh yeah,
yeah, but. Yeah, that's exciting too. Utilizing the international. I mean, it was just Canada. I was going to say international waters, but that's exciting stuff. Another thing about those camps, if you're a young athlete or a parent of a young athlete, those school camps are the best way to get those eyes on you and try to, if you want to play at the next level, learn from the people you want to play for.
Yeah, and get out there and grow your game. Get on everybody's radar, grow your game. Find out all about it. I used to love going to the baseball camps. I always went to Elon, and they had major league scouts, and not just there to watch, but they had major league scouts there as teachers, and nobody better to learn from than a scout who's going to be, this is exactly what I'm looking for to tell a team to draft this player, right, when they're instructing you on how to do that. And then former major league players and coaches, being there. So it's the same thing on a different scale here. You're learning from a highly decorated basketball coach here in Jolie Folks that's getting ready to kick off her career at Marshall. But go to the camps. Kids have a great time, and it just adds more to the fan base for the Little Herd. But even those elite prospect camps, if they come here and they learn about Marshall, they go and tell 5 to 10 people about going to Marshall, and people start looking into it. Helps with recruitment for athletes and student athletes and students.
Yeah, it really does. Well, this was a great episode, man.
Well, thanks again, Devin. Don't know how long we'll have you with KD still being in flux with moving halfway across the country, but you picked up quite a few attaboys on comments over on our YouTube and stuff like that, and people that I talked to that weren't comments but just in person, they said, "Hey, Devin did a great job." So thank you for filling in yet again. I'm going to give you an opportunity to let everybody know where they can follow you and some of the other stuff that you have going on with your music and other things, and then you can say anything else that you want for some final thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with my final thoughts about the media day and stuff like that. But I think it's great. Everybody's excited about the herd, and rightfully so. I mean, internally, everybody's excited about the herd internally, and outside of here, everybody's kind of written us off. So it's going to be a great time to be a herd fan and stick it to everyone else once we go out there and show how good we really are. But anything regarding me, you can find me at the Big Homie on Instagram. It's where I'm probably the most active story-wise, and you can find updates on me streaming on twitch.tv/dmiller83, or you can just Google dmiller83 Twitch. Same thing. Links are in bio and everything. What's Goody on what's_goody with 2 E's on Twitter. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of streaming NCAA. I'm gonna get off here shortly. I know this will come out in a couple of days or so, but that UNLV dynasty with some of the best content creators in the world, in my opinion. You got a Good Game Bro, over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. His moderator Maz, I am Mazlu, also got plenty of followers on Twitch, and Eric Rayweather. All three of these guys are in the league, very competitive. If you're a gamer, holler at me, come talk to me in the chat. Other than that, it's been real. Go herd. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so whether you see us at the Joan, whether you see us at the Cam, or whether you see us over on Twitch with hundreds of thousands of people watching D Miller 83, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go herd. It's a ThunderCast. We'll be back next week and resume our position group breakdown series. Later.